I snapped back into the present as a sheaf of paper appeared in front of my face.
Here you go.
Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. I gave her copy a close read over, then thrust it back out to her. What did you even fix? I asked.
Could you please tell me what parts are wrong?
She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about?
It's just, well... we don't have a lot of time here, so I figured if I just fix the parts that need fixing...
Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy?
Yes.
Then you're never going to get any better. If someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. I let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first, I thought he was just pushing me around. But after rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up.
Oh, wow. Really?
If you can get that, then stick with it. Ride your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can.
Okay. I can do it. I will do it!
Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit! The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment, even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer.
Frank.
Oh, how touching.
Ozu chimed in, applauding.
I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See, we had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love.
I shot to my feet, pounded my fist on the desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery.
Hold your tongue.
Sugawa snarled. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam.
We're getting sick of waiting here. Frank.
Tagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you?
Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper into my desk.
Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision. Now. If you'll just stamp here, we'll be on our way.
Chiaki stared down at the document.
Is this... a bond of Reconnaissance?
Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when you transfer into debt.
Scott puffed himself up proudly. I silently looked over the contract.
If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept a signature as well.
Ozu pointed out.
Face it, pal.
Sagawa added.
Don't hurry up and sign. We're gonna stop going after Toyama's daughter.
I snatched up a pen.
Mr. Mino, you can't do this! Think about what you're doing!
Chiaki shouted.
If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama!
I won't.
Yes, you will!
Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minorikawa, damn it. I'm going to land so many scoops it will make your head spin. And I'm going to pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing.
But why would you take such a risk?
Chiaki sobbed. I lowered my voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. I readied my pen and signed the document.
Alright,
Sagawa cheered.
now we're talking.
A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached for the contract. But before he could pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk.
I'm not letting you do this!
Crumpling the paper, she stuffed it right into her mouth.
Hey,
Sagawa snapped.
what the hell are you doing?
He tried to force Chiaki's mouth open.
Don't you dare, you bitch!
But despite his frantic efforts, Chiaki managed to gulp the wad of paper down. Sagawa blinked a few times.
Oh, you did not just do that!
Ozu looked on, dumbstruck.
Guess we gotta get a new contract from the office, boss.
Bring as many as you want!
Chiaki declared.
I'll just keep beating them!
Girl, you some kind of damn goat or something?
Sagawa shoved Chiaki up against the desk.
Oh! Cut it out! That hurts!
As she struggled to resist, Chiaki lurched towards the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. The sound from the television set soon hit max volume.
Justin.
We have just learned the identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical executive.
Shibuya resident? I tilted my head in confusion. Toyama didn't live in Shibuya.
Once again, the victim of the explosion was a Shibuya resident and a pharmaceutical company executive. Momoyo Tanaka. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. The site of the incident remains an alarming scene, with relief workers continuing to tend to the wounded.
4 people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh?
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 Who's Tanaka?
Who's
Who's
Tanaka?
Tanaka?
Gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun. It was a wild shot, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind a water storage tank, kicking an arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost as too fast to the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. I didn't even have a chance to fire my gun. Before I could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" I shouted. I started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of my eyes stopped me in my tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife. I was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. I quickly brought my gun back to his bear. "Stop right there!" Then I stopped, mere millimeters from Tateno's neck. I was sure that if I hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife really pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. "You. I know you," I said, shocked to see that I recognized the attacker. It was the girl who had been knocked down by the minivan explosion. Kyle,
Why stop me?
she asked, her tone ice cold.
Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?
I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you have helped Maria escape. Please, put the knife away.
Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway.
The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. Why'd you come to Maria's rescue?
Because she's my friend.
The girl said simply. She's been infected with a virus, I said. We have to get her to help as soon as possible. I headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down.
Not so fast. Don't move.
The girl's sharp tone made me stop. What for? I demanded. I thought you wanted to help.
I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her.
The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place. Is this your line?
The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her.
Just who in the world are you?
Before I answer that, let's make a deal.
I waited, non-committal.
I have information relevant to this case.
The girl continued.
I want to make an exchange.
I swallowed a lump in my throat. Exchange for what?
Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is.
Hitomi Osawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. I could possibly get in touch and ask him where she was, but... Why do you want to know where Hitomi is?
Do we have a deal or not?
The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, she knew about the Ura virus. She was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on an investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? I weighed my options for a moment before replying. First, I need to know who you are.
My name is Caanan.
Caanan? I thought back to the grisly scene at the foreign syndicate's hideout. Did she do that? I was almost afraid to wonder. As if sensing my unease, Caanan spoke up, her voice low and calm.
Once you hear what I have to say, I think you'll be more inclined to tell me where Hitomi is.
There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in this strange girl's face. It's hard to believe that someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. Yet I had seen how quickly she had been able to render Tateno unconscious. Alright then.
Alright then. Guess I'll go first.
Caanan began.
There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person and put a stop to their plan.
I felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that had happened today, I realized my sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after, you're talking about an arms dealer named Alfred, aren't you? Caanan nodded.
The UA virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect,
She said.
The antiviral would render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries, the world over, are dying to get their hands on it.
Then why did Alfred orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There's a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. I was sure Alfred's plan was hidden in those baffling details.
Lab security at Okashi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day. And getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible.
Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Caanan's face.
If you were Alfred, how would you steal it?
She asked. Huh? I was taken aback by the sudden question. Thought good and hard about how to answer. If you can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in? I hadn't had any particular flash of insight. I just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. To my surprise, Caanan gave a nod.
Very astute.
Wait, really?
6 days ago. Alfred injected Hitomi Osawa with the UA virus.
What? Tale taking a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria had been infected, but Hitomi as well? 6 days ago, at that. Wait. Hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean...
Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her.
An unsettling thought occurred to me. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But he had been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean...
He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course.
Caanan said.
Which is why Alfred bribed Tanaka ahead of time.
So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why did he go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Or would Alfred have Hitomi infected with the virus, only to then have her father cure it?
It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body.
The what?
Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral.
I was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antivirus itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alfred must have thought of using a human vessel, I murmured. Which means that the thing that Alfred's really after is... Caanan nodded.
Yes, Hitomi's blood.
She finished.
Alfred specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff.
Caanan said.
Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret.
Wait, no. Hold on. There's something about this story that still made no sense to me. Tell me this, I said to Caanan. Why do you use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Tanaka could enter the lab along with Osawa, and secretly inject himself with the antiviral. It didn't seem like that would have been terribly difficult.
A good question. If getting the antiviral were the only goal, that would be the most expedient means of doing it.
So then why use Hitomi Osawa? I asked. Caanan thought for a moment before answering.
Tanaka may have objected to the idea of giving himself the drug. I hear that it can have some severe side effects.
She seemed unconvinced by her own words. Do you know why they targeted Hitomi? I demanded.
I don't. But I'm sure there must be some reason.
Alfred hadn't gone without using Tanaka, which wouldn't have been the sure thing. Instead, it would have gone with Hitomi. Hitomi was injected with the virus, brought into the lab, used to sneak the antiviral out. Now the plan is to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. Something about this idea still struck me as incredibly odd. So why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi? Two were twins after all, so it wasn't inconceivable, but...
It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped.
Caanan Caanan looked away.
I contacted her before all this started. I told her about the kidnapping plan. And I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alfred.
What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that?
There must have been some sort of accident, though.
Caanan continued.
The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alfred hadn't counted on.
Caanan cast a glance over at Tateno.
This person right here.
She said. So Tateno had disrupted Alfred's plan by going after Hitomi himself.
Considering where it's all led,
Caanan continued.
Alfred must be panicking about now. But we can't let our guard down. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan.
So, it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Caanan flashed me an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, I said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier.
That case officer, huh?
Case officer? That was it. Stanley was CIA. Now that I thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alfred's an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. I don't see any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent the enemies from obtaining it. It's no surprise that people are butting in and trying to put a stop to Alfred's plan. A tiny beeping sound caught my attention. Caanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket.
Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location.
Where is she?
She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now?
Caanan frowned.
At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is.
Alright. I got out my phone and called Stanley. The American was quick to pick up. Frank.
What's going on?
Where's Hitomi?
We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka.
Endo Electronics. Why are you going there? I was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. I had passed by the place countless times.
Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened.
Stanley replied.
How are things on your end?
About as bad as they could be. By getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alfred is after her blood.
Her blood?
I told Stanley what I heard from Caanan.
I see. So, that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct.
Where is she?
Caanan asked as soon as I had hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka.
I see.
Caanan checked Maria's location on her PDA.
First, I need to get Maria.
She said.
I'll get to Hitomi after that.
I'm going with you.
Be my guest.
With that, Caanan was off and running. I took one last glance at the unconscious Tateno, then hurried after Caanan as fast as I could. We ran from South Hill and then P-Dye towards Shibuya Station. As we darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Caanan took an occasional glimpse at our PDA. It felt to me like it must be taking the shortest route possible to Maria's location. I stayed quiet, keeping pace as Caanan led the way. Before I knew it, we were heading up Dogenzaka. In not too long, we'll be at Endo Electronics. Hey! I called out to Caanan.
What?
She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area?
Are you doubting the GPS?
No, it's not that. I scanned the area. It's just that Endo's Electronics right up ahead.
What?
Caanan stopped abruptly.
What are you suggesting?
The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? I haven't figured that out yet. We took off running again. Before long, Endo Electronics came to view. Caanan stopped in front of the shop door.
Right here.
She said, glancing again at our GPS. I knew it, I thought. Well, Endo Electronics, the same place that Hitomi was headed.
Guess we're all winding up together.
Caanan said.
Or else we've been brought together.
She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. I swallowed hard. We? Think you've been roped into this too?
Quite possibly.
Caanan flashed a winning smile and started to head into his shop. Hold on, need to report into HQ. I hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. Frank.
Kano, what's going on?
I located Maria Ozawa.
Huh? What's that?
These words came out as a surprised and childish yelp.
Come on.
Caanan's smile turned to a steely glare,
Time is crucial.
and I was silently back at her.
Kano, what's the location?
Kuze asked.
Where are you?
I can't say right now, sir. Please, just leave this to me.
Hey, now just hold on.
I ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Nanda already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alfred's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Rarely, I followed after her. After navigating that veritable cavern of junk, we came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Caanan quietly opened the door, and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Frank, go for it too.
Don't you want to save Suzune?
I and Caanan crept closer. Getting through the next doorway, we saw a tense confrontation in progress. Maria and Stanley were standing there. The middle-aged man had The strain of Hitomi was stunning down pressed to her throat.
Achi,
Dad, of course I want to help Suzune.
The young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow.
But do you think this is what she wanted you to do?
I watched intently, tensing for action. There's so much risk here. I was about to barge into her workroom when Caanan grabbed me by the shoulder.
Let's wait and see how this goes first.
She whispered. I realized this was good advice. If they provoked the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. We just have to hope the young man could talk him down. Justin.
I told Stanley and he told me what his father had done. What my father has done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. I'm so sorry, I told her. I'm not really sure what to say. Clenched my fist so hard, my knuckles popped. Struggling to keep my emotions in check.
Jules, go ahead.
So if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister.
He told me murmured. Stop, I said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face, and she pressed her right hand to her heart.
Amen. To find out like this.
She turned to Achi's. She turned to me, tears glistening in her eyes.
I want to help your sister, but we have other things to worry about right now.
Oh, that was Stanley's line. Frank.
This time,
We have other things to worry about right now.
it was Stanley who cut her off.
Remember, Alphard is after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Caanan told you?
Yes, she said I was the mastermind's target.
Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips.
So Alphard and Achi's father are after the same thing.
Stanley said.
Is that just a coincidence?
It didn't sound like he thought so. Hold up, I growled, leaning from the back seat. Yeah, my dad is way out of line. But he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists.
I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists.
Stanley replied coldly.
It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alphard thinks. So, actually, the likelihood of failure could be part of the plan.
I thought back to what Caanan had said earlier. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outcome becomes blurred.
And it makes it harder for anyone outside, looking in, to grasp what the actual plan is. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it.
So, if we assume the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alphard wants.
Then we murdered. So, of an intentional hole then? I said. Stanley snorted.
Caanan told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool.
What did you just call me? I barked.
If you've known all along how formidable... Oh, that's you.
If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi to the police custody right away. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now.
Maybe that was me.
That was you.
Alright, from the top. If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to the police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now.
Look. Luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters.
What exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating?
I and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, I decided it'd be better if I speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can just abandon someone in trouble.
Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? Are you sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that you can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to.
So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not gonna just walk by because there are people starving somewhere else in the world. I'd be like, hey, let me treat you to a beef bowl or whatever.
You couldn't have come up with a smarter example.
Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot. I scowl. My bad. Stanley Hitomi laughed again.
Today's been an interesting day.
He said.
I was with another fellow earlier who is just like you.
Meaning what? Was he an idiot too?
Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem?
Hardly. My little sister is so smart, she made your eyes pop out.
Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place.
Huh? What's that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man. I shot that. But then we didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, staring at the road. They were close to Shibuya Station, and the traffic had ground to a halt.
Gridlock again?
Stanley grumbled.
It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics.
He pulled over on the side of the road. I got out of the car, feeling my guts not up with worry. Pretty soon, I was going to confront my father. Stanley gave me a look.
Are you scared about meeting with your father?
I'm not scared. First things first. I'm gonna punch him right in his face. Then we can have ourselves a chat.
Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case.
I don't give a damn about that. I took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. We've gone up and down Dagazaka so many times today already. But this was probably the last time me and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. Hey. My anger is rising. Picked up the pace as I marched onward, wanting to confront my father as soon as possible. My father was wrong. Even if he was acting to save Suzune, he was absolutely wrong. A crime was a crime, regardless of the motive. This was a crime my father needed to atone for. And if he resisted, I would take him down, even if he had to use his fist. If I had to use my fist. A memory from long ago rose in my mind. Pure white karategi, thrusting out with his left fist. Daisuke collapsing to the floor. One of many memories of my father that I could not forget. Kneeling before the memorial altar of my mother, Katone, I wept uncontrollably. I clutched my Hajiki tightly in my hands. I had always been rather clingy with my mother. She was alive. She had often joined me for ohajiki, origami, and the like. On this particular day, I had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Turned to see my father, holding 2 cups of shaved ice.
I'm here for a bit.
We sat at the stairs together, eating our sweet frozen confections.
You want to get tougher?
Daisuke's words were soft and simple.
How about you and me get tougher together?
I looked up at my father, frowning in confusion. How are we gonna do that?
Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate?
Karate? My face was twisted up unhappily at the idea. I could not even imagine I couldn't even imagine myself punching or kicking anyone.
It'll be all right. I'll go with you. Don't worry.
Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. I was well aware that my father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at my grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into my mind. I mean, if you're gonna be there. And so the two began training together at the local karate dojo. I put on my white gi and fastened my obai tightly. As I did so, I felt as if my feelings were being anchored in place as well. Ichi, me, san. My gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as I thrust out my fist in time with the sensei's chant. Even simple kata practice made me feel like I was getting stronger somehow. My dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside me. But he was out of shape, and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted and went up to lean against the dojo wall. I stepped out from the training circle and called out to my father. Dad, are you okay?
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a little break.
Daisuke sounded like he was on the edge of hyperventilating. Thanks, Dad.
Huh? What for?
For asking me to come take karate lessons with you. I was sure he had never had dared to go to the dojo alone.
Hey, just so long as you like it. Now go on. Get back to training.
With a deep bow, I resumed my kata practice. As we were walking home from the dojo, I turned to my father. How come you want to get stronger, Dad? I asked. I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends. Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His word came out awkward and embarrassed.
I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would always come and bail me out.
A friend?
Yeah, a friend.
A distant look came from my father's eyes.
He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong, like him.
Expression turned lonely.
I don't get to see him anymore though.
Why not? I asked. Did he die?
No, nothing like that.
Then, did you guys have a fight?
Something like that.
Daisuke smiled sadly. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again.
His name's Tateno.
Hmm?
My friend. That's his name.
My father increased his pace.
Come on.
He said,
We have to go and pick up Suzumi.
after that, despite my questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. By the time I was almost done with grade school, I had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from my younger self. Perhaps I had the physical knack in me all along. I was the chosen representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in the national tournament. Nobody bullied me anymore. One time, Daisuke suggested that the two of us do some sparring. I may have been a national competitor, sure, but I was a great scorer, squaring off against an adult. My father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown increased accordingly. I was excited to face off against my old man. Early on in their karate training, my kumite, thank you, had seemed rather hopeless. I'd been shocked that my out-of-shape father was able to overpower me, but also get a sense of how strong the man was. This time, I thought, he might well lose again, but but I was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke's face was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened up with a sharp, low kick. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi like he'd allow himself to take the hit, not fearing the effects of a child's kick. I proceed to unleash several more low kicks into the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when I realized. My father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of my footwork. If that was the case, I felt bad about exploiting my dad's weakness. I decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, I aimed a punch at my father's midsection. He was shocked by the impact as soon as the blow struck home. I hadn't attacked with a great deal of force. I just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. But as I pulled back my fist, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he crushed his gut. I stared in disbelief at my own hand. That was the last day Daisuke went to the dojo.
Your dad's pathetic.
Leo.
Yeah, he's such a loser.
I was on my way home from practice, and some older students from the dojo had started ribbing on him. What did you just say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it just short of one boy's nose. Go on. Say that again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale, then took off and ran. But this small victory did nothing to bolster my spirits. My father had looked so small and lonely, heading away after quitting karate. But I didn't think there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father. But really, what difference did that make? In growing stronger, I learned something. Using force to win over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. I loved and respected my father for going to the dojo with me. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way I felt. I resurfaced from my memories to hear Stanley talking on his phone.
I see. So, that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct.
Curious. I turned to the American. Who are you just talking to? Who are you just talking to? Then we reply, was clipped.
That other idiot I was telling you about earlier.
With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not going to get much out of this guy, I thought. By now, we could see Endo Electronics up ahead. I was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped me.
I'll go in first. You two wait out here.
No way, this is my dad we're talking about here.
And you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him?
Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit, and once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. You cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
Stanley stepped inside. I fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of my forehead, the palm of my clenched fist was sweating. Never before in my life had I wanted to just deck my old man. Hitomi watched me uneasily. Hitomi.
Yes?
I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history.
Achi, don't say that.
Hitomi said. She squeezed my hand. I found my other fist unclenching.
Please, you have to try to talk to your father.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from inside the building. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go. I and Hitomi raced inside, barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed my shoes. I heard my father's voice coming from the workroom. Dad! I hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding my father pinned across the desk.
Let me go! Please! Let me go!
Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please! Let my father go! I want to talk to him. Stanley snorted dismissively, but he did what I asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where's Maria?
Maria? What are you talking about?
Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me. I pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Hisawa, the girl you've been after? Maria is her sister. But Daisuke remained unsilent. You're gonna pretend that you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously. It's all so simple. Even if I can tell what's going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras. And you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. Blood began to drain from my father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead and tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from the desk on the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up its shattered drive.
I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Daisuke spat. You can't be this innocent person, Dad, I shouted, grabbing my father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was quickly getting closer. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. I stiffened as I turned my gaze to the door.
TV news continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What? What does this mean? Oh.
What does this mean?
Chiaki blinked in confusion.
I mean, Hana told us herself that the fan explosion was her father committing suicide. Didn't she?
The only explanation I can think of, I replied, is that Hana was lying. I scratched my head as I considered the situation.
But why?
Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort.
Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time.
I wanted to yell at the guy, but I managed to hold my tongue. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive. And if he was still alive, then there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time, with a big scoop waiting in the wings for the issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing.
Well, no matter.
Ozu said.
Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him.
He sat back down on the sofa. But Sagawa leaned threateningly towards Chiaki.
Hey,
He snarled.
you don't know where the guy's hiding out.
I don't!
Chiaki shot back.
And even if I did, I'd never tell you!
Say what now?
He leaned in, even closer, just as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Both reeled back, clutching their head in their hands. Just calm down, Chiaki, I said as I began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm going to look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article.
Oh?
Ozu raised an eyebrow.
Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see.
I want to change up the plan for next month's issue. And I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What I was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of 4-Star General Gossip. I was pretty sure the article on Osawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. If I could find that scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, I'd also be able to get my big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if I could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet that sales figures would go through the roof. I found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take me long to find the article. Floundering Okoshi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off of the page. I quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okoshi Pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man. That must be what Osawa wanted me to look into. The guy his wife had been dating before they were married. It should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. My gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. Piece had been written by Toyama himself.
Hey, ain't you done yet?
Sagawa yelled.
That's what Toyama is already.
Yeah, I thought. We're going to need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, I said. Just hold on. I made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves were packed with a jumble mess of electrical and gas bills, Noodle House delivery menus, and the like.
Look faster.
Sagawa growled. Hey. For now, I decided, I'd better butter this guy up. Say, You look like a pretty tough guy. You work out? Sagawa grinned, thrusting his fist out in an empathetic air punch.
I used to be a boxer. You drop a guy like you in one punch.
Oh! Guess there aren't many folks who can give you a good fight then. Sagawa dropped into a fighting pose and threw a few quick jabs.
As a matter of fact, unbeatable in street fight. They call me the Crazy Tiger Shibuya.
Shibuya, huh? You familiar with SOS then? Sagawa's face twisted into a sneer.
What, those guys?
I mean, I've heard they're pretty tough too.
Only one of them who've been able to give me a fight would probably be that Achi Endo. Except as I hear it, he left the gang.
Really now? Heard anything else interesting?
Sounds like nowadays they've been run by some guy named Suzumu.
The name Susumu rung a bell. Those two young punks who'd been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him.
Since the SOS is in a pretty rough state since Achi left, though.
Sagawa added. I didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state?
Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes. No shakedown folks, or steal, any of that stuff. Guess the founder, Achi, hated that sort of thing. Now that he's out, a lot of rough and tumble hot-blooded types have been signing up with them. Smart readers not to get involved at SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scare bunch around here when there's a lot of them together.
And their main hangout, that's at Inferno, right? Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, and Harajuku. Man, you been listening out in the streets? What gives?
Harajuku, huh? I smiled to myself. Inferno's location had practically fallen into my lap. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide.
Aha! So that's where Toyoma's at. Oh, wait, nah. No way Carolyn would go to a place like that.
Chiaki looked up from her keyboard.
Look, can you please shut up?
No, you shut up.
That's my phone. I pulled myself out of my pocket. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. My heart skipped a beat. Toyama? Where are you? I blurted out as I picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at me as one. Well, what were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. I'd still be up to my ears in debt.
If we could fill those pages and postpone payment,
I would do is delay the inevitable. I should be up my ears in debt, since I would make it look like I was dead.
I let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive. So your little attempt at subterfuge didn't even wind up buying you time.
What?
Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, I said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay that back real soon.
What do you mean?
I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print run of 1 million copies and still sell out if we can run it as an article. Toyama perked right up.
Wait, you really mean it?
I'll give you all the details. Just get your butt back here.
But aren't those long sharks there at the office right now?
Fine. Then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two thugs crowded nearer, a predatory gleam in their eyes. And I had a flash of inspiration. Got it, I said quickly, before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Heh, I said as their footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. I allowed myself a cocksure grin. Right then. So where are you really, Toyama?
You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park.
What? I fought the urge to pull my hair out. What the hell are you doing someplace like that?
Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park?
I thought it would be a clever ruse.
Well, it wasn't.
This is no time to be fighting!
Chiaki butted in. Yeah, you're right. I scowled. Anyway, Toyama, those guys are headed your way. We need you to get out of there and go someplace we can talk. I can meet you there.
Right. Okay.
They needed someplace safe in public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. But where? I thought. Hey. Familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. I quickly described the location.
Okay.
Toyama said.
Cafe load truck. Got it. I'll see you there.
He hung up, and I quickly gathered my belongings. Chiaki, how's that copy coming along?
Well, almost done. Just a little more, I think.
Alright. Bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you've got so far. I waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. You've got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to press. 56. 55. A slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down on the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. I narrowed my eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you?
Justin.
I always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of time, ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency.
The man gave no indication he'd even heard my question.
I suppose I can wait here.
He continued.
Just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds?
Mr. Mino? Isn't this guy talking about our submission?
Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey, you, I asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still, the man remained silent. I was furious. Look, cut the crap, I roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card.
My name is not Heiyu.
He handed the card to me. It read, Cho Nippon, Printing Co., Ltd., Sales Department, Division Number 1, Koichiro Katayama.
I am Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. A pleasure to meet you. My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months.
Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? I asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading.
8 o'clock? Sure, you must be joking. Our company's proofreading deadline is 5:30.
Katayama stared fixedly back at me. Now that had to be a joke. I heard from the editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock.
I take that to mean, then, that you don't have a copy for us.
It's not that we don't have it, I said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow.
No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay the proofreading deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofreading deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we're having this discussion, you are down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds.
Katayama held out his pocket watch, as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, I exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us... Hey. Just give us until 8 o'clock. That was the original understanding. It was unfair to change it now.
8 o'clock? And where's your guarantee that you'll finish by then?
We will. Just trust me.
I'm supposed to just heedlessly trust the word of a man I've just met.
Katayama mused.
We're down to 10 minutes and 46 seconds, by the way.
You son of a bitch. Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for the printer.
High and mighty? I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of the things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might have, without us, you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that in blithely ignoring your proofreading deadline makes for more work on our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
I ground my teeth so hard I could hear it. My usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. He backed down now, though. It was game over.
10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency.
Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. It was no use. I couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up.
May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made?
If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that.
Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities.
Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look.
What's your name, miss?
Chiaki?
She said bashfully.
Chiaki Izo.
The printer's expression brightened visibly.
Good. timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers.
Huh?
Chiaki was taken rather aback.
In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow.
All right, I shouted, practically in Katayama's face. We agree terms.
No, I wasn't talking to you.
But we've got terms of our own. Katayama reeled ever so slightly.
I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here.
Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us.
Why?
We're going to finish up our copy on site, then burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation.
Very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyways.
I pumped my fist in victory. All right, Chiaki. Go and copy the DTB data we've got so far onto your computer.
Sure thing, Mr. Mino.
Chiaki quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop.
Okay, done!
Then let's go! With the others in tow, I headed for the cafe where Toyama would be waiting. We reached Cafe Le Trek without incident, and I promptly spotted the publisher.
Over here.
Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, sullenly sipping on some juice. The waitress came over as I joined them.
May I take your order, sir?
She asked. Water.
Just water, sir?
Fine. Make it a double. Exasperated, the waitress headed back to the kitchen. Yama looked over at Katayama.
Where's this guy?
I am Koichiro Katayama from Cho Nippon Printing.
Katayama presented his business card. Toyama turned to me with a quizzical look.
What's someone from Printer doing with you?
I'll explain later. There's no time for that right now, I replied. First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Osawa ring any bells?
Osawa?
Toyama closed his eyes and thought.
He heads up a laboratory in Okoshi Pharmaceutical. Ran Peaceman in the first ever issue of 4-Star General Gossip.
Toyama's face lit up with recognition.
Ah, yes, that political marriage piece.
Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details from the article?
Of course. Who do you think I am?
Toyama puffed himself up proudly.
I used to be local news copy editor for the Central Times. Got the detail of all the stuff I ever heard covered here in my head.
In that case, do you know who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married? Tateno blinked his eyes vacantly. Hey, what's the matter? I asked.
This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me.
Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head.
Oh, they're alright. They're just not coming out.
I slumped. Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debt depends on your memory here. Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father.
Alright, I can remember. Or I can at least try.
Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself. His gaze turned inward.
So I feel like it was a really common name.
Sato!
Chiaki chirped.
Yamada! Was it either of those? They're pretty common names.
But Toyama shook his head. I offered a guess of my own. See? Endo. Toyama furrowed his brow and muttered under his breath.
No, that's not right.
See you again? Tanaka.
No, not that. It was something else.
Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to a news report on the Shibuya explosion.
Kyle.
The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who has since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka.
Mamoru Tanaka?
Toyama turned around to look at the TV. An image of the victim's face appeared on the screen. The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat.
That's it. It was him. Right there. Mamoru Tanaka. That's what I said. Tanaka.
Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen.
That's who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married. Mamoru Tanaka.
I felt myself getting goosebumps. The victim of a terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who is key to a terrorist viral scare. My reporter's hunch was now a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that next month's issue hits shelves. I called up Kano to let him know the results of my little investigation. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. Probably he'd had his suspicions all along. Osawa told me that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give details on the big scoop, but that he would call back later. In the meantime, I knew I'd have my hands full getting the current issue of the gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. I slapped my hands down on the table. All right, emergency editing meeting, right here, I announced. We need to get a lead in on the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest can be dropped for that. We'll use the info from Kenji Osawa as the basis for a big scoop in the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with that?
No, that should be fine. What about the remaining pages for next month's issue?
I opened the file on my computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo. The surveillance camera opinion piece. The interview with Orai. Those three were finished, the copy already incorporated into the layout. Once Chiaki's street interview piece was loaded in, that one could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along?
I'm sorry. I just needed a little bit longer.
The writing seemed to still be giving her a fair bit of trouble. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout. And I hadn't even gotten any material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki's street interviews. Still, I'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. I'd just have to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then there was the lead-in for Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just me and Chiaki to do.
Well. How are things coming along?
Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. I hurried to cover the screen. Don't look! If the printer rep saw all the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting.
Would you mind telling me roughly what % of the total you have completed thus far?
What percent? I'm off it, man. We're at 100%.
If you're at 100%, if you're 100% done, that implies you're all finished. Could I please have the data then?
No. I'm saying our willpower is at 100%.
I'm not even going to pretend I understand what you mean.
Shaking his head, Katayama sat back down in his chair.
Minorikawa.
Toyama asked, his expression uneasy.
So I know I asked before. Why start for the printer here again?
Katayama promptly chimed in.
The long and short of it is that your proofreading deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock.
He said.
What? But that's impossible. Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing?
Toyama eyed me, and then Chiaki. Both stared back, non-committal.
It really is impossible. We'll never meet the deadline. We don't have enough people.
No, we do have enough. I thrust out my finger. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one and handle the layout.
What?
Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head.
If I headed to the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets have already gotten their coverage. Won't be able to find anything new to write about.
And so you're just going to give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor. I was glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about the things the mass media can't or won't write about. So what the hell difference does it make if they're already gotten the sound bites they're after? My voice was raw with emotion. Don't you dare give up. Not that easily. Get your ass out of there. Find something that only you can write about.
Minorikawa.
Toyama began to object. Then he glanced over at Hana. There was an imploring look in her eyes, as well.
I get what you're saying,
Toyama grumbled.
but still, you're expecting a lot.
But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah. I let out a quiet chuckle. And it's got you all fired up.
Yeah, I'm fired up, alright?
Toyama's face shone with the resolve I hadn't seen in a long time. There we go. That's the Toyama I know.
No, I'm really sorry. Now instead of her burden I put on you. But damn it, it's gonna be alright.
Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strode boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. I watched them go, glad the dithering was over. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. When it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. I shook myself out of my revere. All right, I cried. Despite the clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across my cheek. Come on, guys. We've got to get going, too. Things might look grim, but I wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head to the SOS hangout, Inferno. The three ran long and hard after leaving the cafe. If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, then they needed to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at the latest. The gang's hangout was in Ura Harajuku. Running all the way there on foot wasn't going to eat into too much of their time. But traffic was at a near standstill for some reason, and there wasn't a taxi in sight. How long do you plan?
How long do you plan to running like this?
Katayama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road. With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even I was feeling the time pressure now. We're just gonna have to keep running until the road's clear.
What?
Katayama wailed. Stop your whining. Just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to find his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and no way was some printer guy going to mess that up now. The traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, I kept up my desperate headlong rush. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion sets in. As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. Hey you, Minorikawa's. I snapped at Katayama. Don't just stand there. Help the poor girl already. Katayama scurried over to Chiaki.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mino.
Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was cruel to make her run with her computer all the way to Ura Harajuku. But the copy for her interviews still needed to be looked over. They couldn't just leave her here. I hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with traffic the way it was, there's nothing they could do.
You now have...
Katayama consulted his pocket watch.
exactly 1 hour remaining.
Damn it! I raged. What do we do now? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on.